In this video, we are going to talk about the difference between development and production environment and how it is different from each other. So whenever you create a basic boilerplate using Create React app, you get these basic files. In that, we also get a package.json file. Inside that, we have different scripts and we are using React scripts for basic boilerplate. And you can see that it has two different commands. The first one is start and second one is build. So to start the development server, we do something like npm run start or yarn start, right? Once we do that, it creates a basic development server for us. And that is what I have done here. And we can see that it is live on 3000 pod. And when we refresh it, we get all the app here. So what I'm going to do is to just walk you through what happens when we run this command build here. So for that, we are just going to say yarn build. And when you're using npm, you can just say npm run build. You press enter. And what happens is it is going to give a message saying creating an optimized production build. So what does it mean by creating an optimized production build? So when you run a development build, you can see that you get a lot of extra information, things like warning. So here I'm getting a warning saying failed prop types. You provided value of prop this and that and whatever here. And you can see the warning is right here. But in production or the app when it is live on a URL and different users are using it, we don't want to show them this error, right? That is what we don't want. So in production build, all of these things are not there. So right now, when you go to development build and click on all, and I'll go ahead refresh the page, here you can see that it is getting some JavaScript files like bundle.js, zero.chunk.js, then main.chunk.js. And it has also some other things like DevTools backend and stuff. But here, these three are the main important file. If you look at the size of this, you will see that it is somewhere around 200 bytes. Then you have 204, 202, and other data is here, right? Now, what we will do is we'll go ahead and create a production build. So we have already created a production build, and here it says, so to run this production build, we will have to first install a new package called serve, and then we have to run serve build, okay? So for that, what we are going to do, we are just going to use npx. So npx will get it from the cloud and it will run it right here. So we just have to say npx serve -s build. So what it is going to do is the first thing it is going to do is take the information from the build, that is the production build, and start a server using that. So you can see that the server is started on port 5000. So our development server is running on 3000 and our production server is running on 5000. And we'll try to see the difference between these two. So in our development server, when you go to console, you will see different warnings and errors. But here in production server, you will not see any kind of error here, right? That is the first difference that you see. Now, when you go to network, refresh the page, you can see the size of the file here is 113 bytes. But if you go to the development build, you will see the size is around double of what it is in development. So what we can understand with this is the production build is a lot more optimized than development build. And this is a difference. So when you create the application, you would like to see these warnings. So that's why we use the development build for it. But when we put this app live for users to use it, we don't want them to see any kind of error. And that is when we use production build. So to create production build in Create React app, the first thing we do is to run this command called yarn build, or you can also run npm run build. So it will create the production build. It will obviously throw errors right here, but it will not throw it in the browser once it is built. After doing that, all you have to do is to add a package called serve and then run serve -s build. What it will do, it will create a server using the folder called build. So when you create a production build, it creates a final file that you're going to put it into production. And when you just say npx serve -s, so what you're saying is I'm going to use this package and I'm telling them go use the folder called build and create a server from here. So you can see that this one will have index.html and all the different JavaScript files and CSS files we will need. So even if you open this one in your browser, so for example, I copy this information from here and try opening it in our browser, we will see it will not work because you will have to run server to get all this information. That's why we are using this package called serve. So all serve is doing is creating a basic boilerplate server, and in that we are mounting index.html here. And that's why on 5000 you can see that the production server is running, and here we have our development server running. So here when you go through create react app, you will get to understand the difference between development and this one is deployment. So deployment is done by creating the production build of any application. In our development build, what we do is we create multiple files because it is convenient to use individual file for individual task, right? But in production, you don't need multiple files and all these spaces and everything. So that's why in production build, when you go and look at the JavaScript that has been created, you can see there is no spaces there. Why? Because spaces will take extra space or memory, but removing that will make it a lot more smaller, and that will make your website really fast. So when you create a production build, you will see there will not be any kind of extra spaces or different files for doing the same stuff. But when you use the development, that will be there. So development environment is for us to create it in a friendly environment, but production is created using development environment, and that is a lot more optimized. The CSS is optimized, the JavaScript is optimized, and you can also optimize images and stuff. So in this way, we got to understand the difference between production and development. Now what we are going to do, we are going to make this app live. And how do we do that? So there are multiple applications we can use for doing that. One of it is Netlify. So when you go to this website called Netlify, all you have to do is to sign up if you don't have an account. But if you have an account, you can just click on login, and here you can see different applications here. What if I want to create a new application or make any application live here? So this is our repo that we want to make it live. So what we can do here is we can just import everything from this repo into our Netlify. So I'm just going to say GitHub, and then it will display all the different repos I have, and then I can just search for form. It will take a couple of seconds, and then it will display the repo that we want to deploy. So what we can select this repo, and then here it will ask us for some basic information, which branch you want to deploy. We can see that the main branch here is called main. So here we'll select the main branch, and then it is asking for some base directory. So the base directory is going to be the slash, right? Because this is where we have all the applications. So this is the root directory. So we'll leave it as it is. Then which command do you run to create the build of the application? You remember we created the production build by running this command called yarn build or npm run build. So that is exactly what we have to run. Because Netlify was able to understand that this is create react app boilerplate, it knows that it has a command called yarn build to create the production build of the application. So when you run yarn build, it creates a folder called build. And that you can see it here. This is where my production information is there, right? So that's why this is the published directory. And then you just have to click on deploy site. Once you click on deploy site, it will take a couple of minutes and it will go through all the process, and then it will deploy your website. So you can see it is doing git clone of this repo, installing node and doing all the basic stuff you can see here. And along with that, it can also throw some error. Why? Because we still have warning in our application, and by default, Netlify doesn't allow you to deploy an application that has some warning. So let's see what happens here. Once we refresh this page here, we can see it is throwing an error. And it is saying that there is a warning, and because of that, the build command failed. Why? What is the error? So it is saying emoji should have a wrapped span to it. So this is a problem that is coming from accessibility point of view. So first way to fix this problem is to go into your code and fix the problem, right? The second way to fix this problem is to pass an environment variable called CI and make it false. What it does is, by default, CI is true in Netlify. It means that it looks at warning. If there is any kind of warning, it will break the production build. So you get to know that there is some problem and you should fix it. But if you think that this problem is not very critical, then what you can do, you can just go to deploy setting. You can just pass an extra variable and it will work. So let's see how we can do that. So here you'll find a property called environments, and here you can click on environment, and here all we have to do is to pass CI and make it false, because by default it is true, but I'm making it false. I don't want you to do continuous integration of this because I know the issue is not very critical. So what we are going to do now, we have to deploy this again. So we just have to go on to this page and we just have to click on trigger deploy site again. So it will take a couple of seconds and it will start the deployment again. It will do the same process that it was doing earlier. So let's wait for a couple of minutes and see what it does. And here you can see it is doing the same thing again, that is React scripts build. So it is running the command yarn build that will create the production build of it. And now you can see, even though it is throwing an error, the build is not failing at all, right? So that is what we need to do here. So the build script is successful, the website is deployed, and if you want to take a look at it, you can see it is live here on this URL, the same website. When you go into console, you will not see any kind of warning here coming from this website. So this is how you use Netlify to deploy a website. What if you don't want to use Netlify and you want to use something like GitHub to do that? Because you can also do that part. So the other way to do that is by using a package named React GH pages. So here they have all the instructions and you can follow it. It's very simple to do that. So all you have to do is to install a package called GH pages here, and that is what we will also do. So let's go ahead and do that. So here I'm just going to add a new package. I'll break this thing here. I'll say yarn add GH pages. So first step is to add this package. After that, you just have to add a line like this. So I'll just copy this and go into our package.json and I'll add a line like this. So just before script, I'm just going to say homepage is going to be whatever is your username. So say for example, my username is this, then you can just say whatever is the folder name. So what folder name do we have on this app? So if you can go here, you'll see it is called React Forms. So I'll call React Forms and I'll save it here. And now, and after doing that, all you have to do is to run these two scripts. So I'll go ahead, add these two scripts here. So in our scripts, let's bring it down and we'll add two extra scripts here. The first one is pre-deploy and this one is deploy. After doing that, all you have to do is to run the command called npm run deploy. When you're using yarn, you can also say yarn deploy, or you can also say npm run deploy. So I'll just run this command. It is going to say React script build, and then it is going to do the process of GH pages. And then what it will do, it will take the information, it will create a build file like this. And after that, it will take all the information from here and it will push it to GH pages. Now, when we refresh the page here after a couple of seconds, we can see that it is live on this URL that we wrote here in our package.json file. So we have made this website live using two ways. One was using Netlify that we did it here, and another is by using GH pages. Now we will take a look at how do you keep doing this when you make any change to the code. So here, say for example, in future, you're going to make any change, right? And that change is just a simple change in header. I'm just adding an emoji here, the same as this. I'm just going to copy and paste it here. So this is the change. So when you're using Netlify, it is really simple for us to do it. How do we do that? All you have to do is to make the change. After making the change, you have to do git add dot, git commit. You can just name message anything. So I can just say add emoji and we can just say git push origin main. So what happens here is after making a change, obviously you will push this to GitHub, right? But here what Netlify will do, because there was a new change that happened to this specific branch, it will start building as soon as you push something to it. You will see an extra emoji on the right hand side of this. Similarly, but what if you have to do it on GH pages? So on that, all you have to do is to go and run the same command that we were running earlier, that is yarn deploy. So once you run this, again what it will do, it will go ahead, create the build, a new build, and then after taking this, it will put it into GH pages. So here the deployment is complete, and once you refresh the page, you will see that. Similarly, even for GH pages, when we refresh the page here, we can see now it has two emoji, one on left, one on right. So you can see that you can deploy it using either GH pages or you can use a service like Netlify. In both the cases, it's the same. All you have to do is like when you're doing it Netlify, you have to just git add dot commit and it will just do the rest of the things there. But when you're using GH pages, you have to manually do it by yourself, like run this command yarn run deploy. So in this way, we completed this video by understanding the difference between development and production build. How do you create a production build and what is the difference between production and development build? And we also went through making our website live using Netlify and using GH pages.